We now have close to 90% of government services in the digital space. Last year, we had only 350 government services. Today, we have 14,000. And we are continuing to discover some more. In fact, when we started, we thought we had 10,000 government services. We discovered that there were more than 10,000 because of what my good brother there has said, data. Now we are building a bigger ecosystem of data. We can make decisions with clarity. We can make decisions with specificity. You know, we can know we are intervening here. Let me give you an example. We decided to register all farmers. 5,000 farmers of them we now have on our digital space. And we decided for the first time to distribute fertilizer using an e-voucher. The results are amazing. For the first time, we didn't have the kind of pilferage, theft, corruption that always accompany distribution of fertilizer. So we are already getting value for leveraging on technology. Let me also say that, you know, Konza and the Silicon Savannah is not a place. It is not a river. It is a mindset. It's a whole, you know, it's a whole thinking. So, you know, sometimes I find people, they go and lock themselves up in a concert in at the river. That's that's not what it is. It is the whole ecosystem that we are building around technology. In fact, we just found partners to do the data centers, which will be in Naivasha. We are leveraging on the green energy to sell data centers as a green product from Kenya. It is the only place you will have green data, and we are going to make this available globally. So that whole space, I don't know, I think I have said too many things. I'm just trying to give you the buffet of what we are doing in the technology and digital space. Just before I came to this meeting, we were having a conversation with my CS for health on how we are going to digitize, actually the journey for digitization of our health records. Because we need to make health records portable. We need to make the whole health ecosystem, from commodities, prescriptions, claims, interoperable, so that it becomes a lot easier. And in the process, we will gather a lot of data on prevalence of diseases, what do we do with our commodities. KEMSA is going to be a different place after we digitize that whole ecosystem. In fact, by June next year, you will have a different experience with our health provision, again, because of technology. And that's the reason why we have big pushback from people who do not want us to digitize health. That's why they've gone to court, you know. They want to stop us because they run remote hospitals, hospitals that do not exist. We were being briefed about a hospital in Kino that is doing more surgeries than Aga Khan and Nairobi Hospital combined. You know? So I sent my CS, can you go and look at this miracle place? You know? And those are the people who have gone to court because they don't want us to digitize the space so that they can continue to game NHIF. I promise you, we will stop them. And we are going to digitize this place. So technology is going to be a big part of our, and we will need people like Joel, people like Joel to work with us. We can leverage on their knowledge, their expertise to drive our own agenda here at home. Sorry for saying too many things.
No problem, Mr. President. Next time, I think I'll try to cut you short if you're not saying nice things, but you were saying nice things. And I will say, Mr. President, I think it is clear in everything that there are some people who thrive in chaos, and they create chaos so that they can thrive. Unfortunately, data provides transparency, and with transparency, the chaos is eliminated. So thank you very much for your comments on that. I'll go back to Joel so that we finish on the technology questions, and I'll just ask you. We talk a lot of things about things like artificial intelligence, machine learning, Internet of Things, augmented reality, and these are the things that are like child's play to you. And I would like to know, in your investment at Pathways Technology Limited, how has this contributed to the Kenyan economy and the community around you?
Thank you very much, Joanne. And Mr. President, you're spot on the technology. At Pathways, we've been running for the last 10 years. In the US, but leveraging the young people here in Kenya. We've had about 1,000 people go through Pathways, and we're happy to say that we get rated all the time by Safaricom, Google, Amazon, which to us is okay because we're creating employment. What we've done is we have a very, very solid training program that we're now scaling up with the help of Konza. We have an MOU where we plan to train 20,000 young people over the next 5 years. In some of these very high-tech skills, AI, machine learning, and all that. So the future is bright. Like I said, there's a big wave going around, and Kenya is the destination. Forget about India.
Thank you. That's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And Kenya is the destination. Now coming to you, Prof. You lead a lot of people in diaspora, and I believe that Proximity Point is established on about 40,000 acres. This is a housing development that is being called the city of return for the diasporans. And His Excellency has spoken at length about the issue of affordable housing. And this is an area of great concern for majority of us as Kenyans. Maybe you can just talk to us about how you want this to be the first green city in Kenya, and also how you've been able to mobilize all these people, any challenges you've encountered very briefly, so that then we can see whether there's any intervention that His Excellency can put in place to make sure that even diasporans coming can be able to invest in that space.
Thank you very much, Joanne, and I think this is an amazing opportunity to kind of communicate this officially in this place. So before we actually articulated how to come back, because some of us have been in the diaspora personally over 32 years, and we feel that it's a time for us to engage with the country. So we formed an organization which is called One Voice Consortium. One Voice Consortium has over 110 organizations across the board, and that's in the entire diaspora. Through that, we did a kind of a proper research to identify which part of the country would be suitable for people like us coming from cold countries, and then what is the economic potential, what is the government agenda in that region. And we identified the Lapset corridor, that is the end of Kilifi County into Tana River and into Lamu County. So we just had that transaction. And what we saw there was pro-economy, agribusiness, technology, and the like. We also identified that in one of the sub-counties that we'll be working in was the poorest county in the whole country. And for the diaspora, remittances was not enough. We wanted to be participants of strict, clear transformation. So through One Voice Consortium, we mobilized. We've traveled across the entire diaspora communities. And just last month, I spoke to over 2,000 Kenyans in Dallas, Texas. And how we mobilized that is kind of saying we have younger generation that has no historical, traditional attachment to Kenya. How can we create an atmosphere for them that makes them attracted? They earn 10 times more than we earned when we went to the diaspora. So the strategy is to work with this generation, create resources, especially through the industrial park, to enable them invest, not necessarily emotionally, but because they can see the returns on the investment. So our prayer to the government is that we get proper documentation, a special economic zone, so that we are able to channel directly our billions of dollars into Kenya and then rechannel them into the rest of the country.
Excellent, excellent. And I think you had a point in terms of the ease of doing business, where we would get accelerated services, where even if it was a premium service, people coming in from diaspora could process, for example, land titles, etc., in an expedited manner so that they can then invest effectively. Mr. President, would you have a comment?
It's, in fact, we, in the whole space of delivery of government services, from visa issues, land transactions, investment opportunities, that is a space that we haven't been doing well. Our investment branding has been very limited. And in fact, one of the firm instructions I have given to CS Miano, and she knows what to do, and I have confidence in her ability to do it, is to make sure that the investment authority has clarity on how long it takes to do what, who does what, and what is the investment journey for any investor in Kenya, so that it is predictable, it is known, and it is public. That is the correction we are making. So if you give us just another couple of months, we should be clear, because that is the space that we haven't done very well. But let me say the following, that what my brother is saying here about a special economic zone and all the other policy decisions that we have to make. If you look at today's newspaper, we have in the today's newspaper an advertisement to put infrastructure and the first phase of 6 special economic zones in Kenya that have already been gazetted. The 6 special economic zones are targeting opportunities like the one my brother here is talking about. Export-led, incentivized investments. We are targeting FDI on one side. We are targeting exports of different products on the other hand, and we are building an ecosystem that will facilitate, fast track, enable that to happen fast. So we have a special economic zone here in Thika, we have one in Sagana, we have one in Nakuru, we have Dongo Kundu, we have Naivasha, we have Busia, we have Eldoret. We are looking at other opportunities in different parts of Kenya. So, but it has to be targeted, and we need to know what are we trying to achieve. For example, the one in Thika, our focus is going to be pharmaceutical companies. We want to be specific so that, because we still import 70% of our pharmaceutical commodities and products to Kenya. And it is part of the reason why I was having a conversation last week with Prime Minister Modi, because we are importing almost 50% of all those products from India. And my conversation with him was, we cannot continue doing this. He has to mobilize his companies to come and invest in Kenya with Kenyan companies, to employ Kenyans, and to produce products for Kenya and for Africa from Nairobi or from Kenya. So this is the conversation we're having.
I think that's a really good initiative. Mr. President, I want to ask you short. I just thought that was really great. Healthcare has been a thorn in the flesh of Kenyans, and if we don't deal with it, we have a serious challenge going forward. And with them coming here to set up companies, we create jobs, and at the same time, we deal with the problem that we are facing. So thank you, Mr. President. And you also referenced the issue of foreign direct investment and also exports. And so I segue directly into our next panelist, Thenya. Thenya, you have single-handedly created a luxury business. And this business, you have been at the Oscars with your fish leather bags. And we know that the BBC has said that as a partnership between the Kenya government and the Oscars, your bag was featured, and actually it was selected as the one to be used by Viola Davis. So given that light of resounding success, putting brand Kenya on the map as an exporter, can you talk to us about the challenges that you have identified that could unlock significant growth opportunities for Kenyans exporting high-end goods to various markets?
Thank you, Joanne. Thank you, Mr. President. I'm also really honored to be one of the youngest panelists here, so don't mind if I'm a little bit nervous. Challenges would be definitely funding. There's a lot of funding for the creative industry, but foreign funding. We don't have a lot of local support, so that would be great if we could get funding. Another thing I'd also say is there seems to be an issue finding quality leather. So if we could improve the circulation and distribution of quality leather within the country, it would be great. We'd be able to grow an already thriving leather value chain, so that stakeholders like myself are not looking outside to places like South Africa to start importing cowhide. Like, I have people on a wait list because they want the cowhide bags, but I can't access cowhide. Other challenges would also be just getting younger people into the workforce. It would be great to work with younger artisans. For instance, I went to Milan to learn how to make bags, and it would be great to train people to do the same at that level of quality. I feel like a lot of Kenyan brands are shying away from entering the luxury because of the level of quality control that's needed. So it would be great to start working with younger people.
Awesome, thank you very much, and very precise. Mr. President, they say that when you have a hammer, every problem is a nail. I am a communications expert, and so I tend to see everything through the lens of perceptions. And from my experience working with brands, and from that perspective, I have seen the power of media and the power of film in shaping perceptions. In the audience today, we have powerful people like Alex Chamwada, we have Alison Gibwini of Aldison Production, who's on Netflix. We've got people who have been doing a lot in that art space. And I was just wondering, segueing on from Fenya's comments, in positioning Kenya through our products for export, what are we doing to support the use of a uniquely Kenyan look and feel or brand presence, so that when we sell our products, we've got a stamp of quality that says, when you buy this product, this is what you're getting. Similar to what we have seen, for example, with countries like Germany, where when you hear it's German-made, straight away they're telling you it's quality. What are we doing in terms of Kenya as a country, as a brand, and what should we be doing, or what can we do with you, Your Excellency?
Much. Listening to Ndenya, you know, she's saying what I should have said. She's so right, you know, she's so right. Leather is one of the lowest hanging fruits that we have. Why? Kenya is the third largest holder of livestock in Africa. We have the third largest herd, Kenya. And we are still importing everything leather. What are we doing with our, and by the way, we slaughter about 3 million heads of livestock every year, from cows to camels and sheep and goats, yeah? These 3 million we slaughter, more than 50% of the hides and skin is either eaten by dogs, buried, wasted. It's a whole waste. And it is the reason why this year we have money in the budget specifically for leather. We are finalizing 3 tanneries. We're investing in completing 3 tanneries. One in Kenania here, another one in Narok, and one more place. It is the reason, and I say this with a lot of clarity, it is the reason why, again, today, our PS, Principal Secretary for Livestock, is in India. Because I had a conversation with Prime Minister Modi on their Leather Institute and Footwear Institute and how we can create a partnership. And I promised him that I would send my PS to sit down with what is going on in India, because there is a lot we can leverage on technology. There is a lot we can work with other stakeholders. And my intention is that, and I have said it publicly, we must have a sunset clause on the day we are going to be importing shoes into Kenya. We must produce leather products from Kenya because we have the leather, we have the hides and skin in plenty, we have the human capital at home, we have the market in Kenya, starting with, we import about 15 million pairs of shoes every year. Explain to me why we are exporting jobs, why we are using leather from other people's goats and cows when our own leather and hides and skin is being eaten. You know? It is stupid, isn't it? Yeah? So this is what we must do. And I want to salute Kenya and people like her who are doing something in that space, albeit at a small scale. It is my responsibility and the responsibility of the government of Kenya to scale up what Kenya and those people like her are doing. For your information, allow me to say one thing. A factory here in Athi River, run by a gentleman called Rao, I went to see him about a year ago. They produce the same quality of leather as you would find in Dubai or in Italy at a quarter the price. That's what it is. It cannot get better than that, would it? It cannot get better than that. So leather is one space. We are not only going to create jobs, we are not going to expand opportunities, but we are also going to create wealth. And we are going to supply our own markets. And that I am very determined in doing. And I was very happy to listen to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. And then you can see you had no reason to be nervous. Thank you. Now, and I will ask that you speak from the notes that you have made so that you can tell us the main things you'd like to articulate in this conference so that we hear your point of view and especially representing diasporans in general, not just yourself.
Thank you. So, Mr. President, with the area of economic research, and I also speak, of course, representing the diaspora who sent me here, I think that one of the challenges that we have found, not just in our country here, but around the continent, is whether the inability or the lack of interest in making use of data for policy purposes. And that's cross-cutting from national government to local government. When in the work that we do, we found that middle income and developed countries, they're really focused on scientific research as a basis for policy. And I think that is one of the areas that perhaps we could look at ways in which that can be a culture in our country. And I think with that, even in terms of, for example, we went to look at your target that you gave to the State Department for Diaspora Affairs. We actually found out that the remittances target is approximately 10% of GDP. And if we compare with other countries, that would be matching, for example, Lesotho, which has about 20% remittance as a share of GDP. So it's that kind of research that we are saying that perhaps we could push that as part of our culture in government, in private sector, and everywhere in the country.
Excellent, excellent. Mr. President, with that, I'm going to wrap up my moderation and hand over to you. And in closing, I want to say, ndege wa mabawa moja huruka pamoja. Birds of a feather flock together. And today we are flocking here to collectively raise the bar and collectively start a journey with your support, where the diaspora works closely with us here in Kenya to make sure that we improve on our economy. And as I close, a little tongue-in-cheek, perhaps, Mr. President, you're very articulate in expounding your policies, the way you see the future, and everything to do with any question that you're asked. I will ask a question. Why is it that we are not getting that level of articulation trickling down to the bottom so that we get a more positive vibe across the country? Thank you very much, Mr. President.
You see, it is also said that lies go around the world maybe twice before the truth are put on their shoes. And you know, we have a democracy, you know, which we celebrate. And Kenya is a great country, a great democracy. And because we are democratic, everybody speaks whatever they want. Everybody says even the untruths, you know, that fly all over the place. And that is good. It is up to us to put our story across. But it is up to us more than talking, doing. And I am very focused on making sure that we do what we have to do. You know, we will continue explaining. For example, I will have an occasion with the media, God willing, this Sunday. I want to explain to the people of Kenya, the whole space, where are we going, what are the challenges, what are the opportunities, how do we get to where we were going? Because I am very confident in the peoples of Kenya understanding and appreciating where we need to go. That's why I was elected. You know, I am very confident that we are going to change this country, and the bumps that we have, the challenges that we have. For example, the example I just gave here. I mean, people are fighting housing when the results are very clear. I even saw the other day the leader of opposition saying, why is Ruto exporting too many people from Kenya? I mean, is that really something we should be having a conversation about? We have the single asset that we have as a country is our human capital. We have the best human capital anywhere in the world. And you use what you have. We don't have gold. We may not have big gold mines, but we have our human capital. How do we deploy it to use it as a resource to grow our economy? I have been intentional. I have been deliberate. I have given targets to Roslyn there. I have told Roslyn we must increase our remittances from $4 billion to $10 billion. Si nimekuambia PS? Yes. And it's not just going to come. It's going to come when we connect Kenyans with opportunities in Kenya and opportunities abroad. Yeah? We are concluding discussions with Saudi, for example, so that we stop sending domestic workers. We send skilled workers. We send professionals because there are huge opportunities. We're concluding, I had a conversation with Chancellor Scholz. They need 250,000 people to work. We are concluding the bilateral labor agreement with Germany. 250,000 people. 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 2 It is one KPI that I intend to conclude, so that again we can export labor. We can expand opportunities. We can connect Kenyans with opportunities globally. You guys in the diaspora have already demonstrated a great job that you have done investing in Kenya. We want to expand those opportunities. So what I'm saying is we are doing more, speaking less, because shortly what we are doing will speak for itself. We may not need to say much. The people themselves will begin to see change happening in Kenya.
I want to really, really thank my amazing panelists for that really engaging and invigorating discussion. Mr. President, you've added great value to the panel, and I'm so delighted that you have joined us. And so we thank you very much and close this session so we can hand over back to the organizers. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
I know I would have added more value by sitting here and engaging, maybe answering some questions from you guys. Unfortunately, I wouldn't have that moment because I have another assignment and I have a cabinet meeting immediately after this. But there will be many other leaders. There will be many other ministers and PSS and professionals working in this administration that will come and speak to you. And I will have another occasion, as I said, to engage with you as we all of us make our contribution towards making our country great. So to all of you, nimesema asante sana, mimi nawatakia heri, nawatakia baraka, and thank you very much for coming to share your ideas and your suggestions in this conference so that you can inform the policy position of the government of Kenya. We don't just see you as people who have come to invest. We also want to pick your mind on many other aspects on how best we can do this together as government and as members of the diaspora and as Kenyans in general. Asanteni sana.
The Excellency will exit through this door. If you don't mind, Your Excellency, just a quick picture for posterity for the sake of this.